Hello Internet, my name is the Golden Stalfos, and today we're going to talk about politics. Please don't click away, I promise this is worth your time. So I've recently started watching this channel called Thought Slime. Now I don't agree with all of their views. I'm not an anarchist, and I don't think that socialism will solve all of our problems, even if it is probably better than capitalism. But he makes a lot of really good arguments nonetheless, and I'll be linking to a couple of his videos down below. The reason I mention that is because without seeing his videos, I wouldn't have started to make this series. See, I live in the United States, and in the United States, you aren't really allowed to talk about politics the way you are in other places. And while there are obviously people who talk about politics, and even people who talk about politics on YouTube, up until this point, none of the ones I had seen really, pushed the envelope at all. It's all fun and games to watch Sean dunk on Black Pigeon or Big Joel talk about Shrek and capitalism and stuff, or whatever Twitter thing he's on about. And don't get me wrong, they're great too. But the difference with Thought Slime is that he's not just talking about politics as I normally see them get talked about. He's talking about, the real shit, the, future shit, the shit that we could do if we really wanted to make a change. And again, I don't agree with all the changes he wants to make, but I agree with his motives and his general outlook on why the current system is bad. Oh, slight tangent. I'm using he because in most of the videos that I've watched, that's how they've self-identified, but that might be changing. But they also said to just use literally whatever pronouns you feel like using, and that they wouldn't get mad about that. So, I don't know what the correct procedure is, TBH, but I'm just going to go with what has been gone with so far. Sorry if anyone is offended by that. I'm sorry. But anyway, Thought Slime is out here talking about all this real shit that I've always kind of felt was important, but never felt like I could talk about. And now that I know people are talking about it, I'm gonna fucking talk about it. So the purpose of these videos, which there will be lots of them, is to 1. Explain the systems that currently exist and what's wrong with them, and 2. Explain what I think should be done instead. And those two pieces of information won't necessarily be in the same video, so be sure to check back in future videos for the solutions, because sometimes I will just be laying out how things currently are, and I'll put the solutions later because they take up enough time to deserve their own video. Alright, so now with all that preamble out of the way, this video will be dedicated to talking about capitalism and its many, many problems. Now, for anyone who somehow doesn't know, capitalism is the system currently used in the United States and most of the rest of the world. There are a couple of dictatorships that claim to be communist, but aren't, because that's not what communism is. And there are a handful of other smaller state-like things out there trying other systems, but mostly it's capitalism at the moment. So since this is kind of the default system of the world, it might make sense to know what it is and how it works and why this system and not some other system. I mean, what makes it so great? Or rather, not so great, but what got us here, I guess. So the basic fundamental idea of capitalism is that having capital is good, and the people who have the most capital are the most good, and whatever you can do to get capital is good. Because reasons. Now, for anyone who's confused by the jargon, capital just means money. Having money is good in a capitalist system. That's what it is. There's no real reason given why having money is considered to be a good thing. It's just the goal is to have money. And believe it or not, you don't have to be a capitalist society to have and use currency. Even fiat currency can be used in states that don't use capitalism. And this might bring up the larger question of what is money and why would anyone want it, which deserves its own video. But for the purposes of this video, I'll just say that money is a thing that you can use to buy the stuff you need, like food and shelter and haircuts and clothes and iPods and whatever the fuck, like literally anything that anyone could make, they will sell it to you for a certain amount of money, I guess. And now, in theory, having the most money means having access to the most things and services and whatever, which is theoretically good. Like, I like having stuff. I'm sure other people also like having stuff. So, a system that lets people have stuff sounds nice. So if money is just a stand-in for stuff and people naturally want stuff, then wanting money is good, right? I mean, that follows, doesn't it? And to a certain extent, sure, but the problem comes in the fact that there's no other motivating factors in capitalism. The only way to get stuff is to get money, and the only way to do anything is to have money. And your only motivation in life is to get more money. Even if you already have more money than you could ever use, more stuff than you could ever want, you have to get more money. There are literally people on this earth who have more money than individual countries and still try to get more money because that's what the system is. They don't need it. They're literally just trying to invent new ways to burn money, like going to space and shit, and they just need more money still. They're still selling things and trying to get more money, even though they already have more than you can literally imagine. Like, you cannot actually fathom the buying power of $100 billion. It's so goddamn much. It's insane. Now, don't completely misconstrue things. Jeff Bezos may be richer than many individual countries, but there are also many countries that make his wealth look pathetic by comparison. The annual budget for the United States is trillions of dollars, and that's a lot more than billions. So, yes, Bezos and people like him are endlessly seeking wealth for the sake of wealth without any real way to use it or any real motivation to have it beyond just having it. But, it's not like there's nothing else to go around, I mean, literally 8 people in the world, 8 individuals in the world have half of the world's wealth, and the rest is shared amongst everyone else. And literally half the people in the world have almost nothing, but whatever, it's fine. See, the initial idea of capitalism is, having money is nice because then you can buy things. Isn't that nice? But the problem is, if your only motivating factor ever is acquiring this one thing, then you will always do whatever you can to acquire that one thing. Even if the thing that you have to do in order to acquire that one thing is something bad. Because you don't care about good or bad, you care about getting money. Because that is the only motivating factor in this system. So it doesn't matter if the way you get money is evil or causes people to die or whatever. All that matters is you getting more money. Because reasons. And this is where we run into a ton of problems. For a long time, people thought, in order to make money, I will literally enslave people and just not pay them and force them to produce as much as I want so that I can sell that stuff to get as much money as I want. And eventually that became illegal, so they said, okay, we'll go to incredibly impoverished countries that are impoverished because of, the imperialism caused by our reckless greed, and we'll pay them the literal bare minimum, seriously, basically nothing. We'll pay them as little as we can possibly get away with, pennies a day, and work them for 12, 30 hours in a sweatshop, because who cares? They don't have any regulations. Those countries don't regulate us, so we'll just do whatever the fuck we want there and then ship it to the expensive countries where we can sell it for a lot of money and just make money. And that's literally the entire textile industry for the last 400, 500 years. Like, that's their business model. Started with slavery, now it's sweatshops, which is just slavery with extra steps, really. I mean, like, it's insane. Don't get me wrong, textiles aren't the only industry to do that, but, like, it's a really obvious example. And, if you have a system that essentially rewards people for doing evil things like slavery, that might be a problem. Like just a little bit of a problem. Because the simple fact is, clothing manufacturers, iPhone manufacturers, etc., can make more money enslaving people in foreign countries than they can by not doing that. So they're gonna do that because their only motivation is to make more money. And you've provided them with literally no reason not to do the thing that makes them more money. Because money is the goal. Because what else are you gonna do? You gotta make money. Now, to be perfectly fair, there are non-evil ways to make money. You can drive innovation and improve service and all that kind of crap that they talk about. But, like, realistically, that doesn't happen a lot. I don't know if you guys know this, but, like, a lot of industries are built on things that, like, aren't going to change anytime soon. Like, the new technology in cotton, there's not a lot of new technology in cotton. If you make cotton textiles, there's not a lot of new things you can do with that. You can rotate styles, I guess, but, like, the kind of people who buy t-shirts are just gonna buy t-shirts, and it doesn't really matter what kind of weird shit you want to do with it, it's still a t-shirt. So there's not really a whole lot of room for innovation in the t-shirt market, So you can't innovate, and you can't really improve service because it's a product and, like, it's already being brought to customers as conveniently as possible. Then what else can you do? You can only cut cost. How do you cut cost? You pay people less. You cut corners. You make shitty products and sell them at the same price. You raise your prices so that your margins improve even though your costs haven't gone down. Or even after your costs have gone down, you still raise your prices so that your margins improve even more. Those are the things you can do to make more money when your product can't be innovated because it's just a fucking t-shirt. There's nothing you can do with it. What about if you don't want to, exploit people from far away? Like what if you just want to make a lot of money without having to do anything? Well, congratulations. If you have a bit of money to start up with, you can just buy property and rent it to people. And they have to pay you to use the property because you legally own it. But you don't have to do anything with the property for them to pay you for that. It's amazing. It's literally free money for just letting someone use something you already weren't going to use because the only reason you bought it was to rent it. It's incredible. And you know what's really cool? You don't just have to rent to other businesses that can, afford the cost because they sell stuff out of the property you're renting to them. No. You can rent to individuals who literally need to have a house or apartment or whatever in order to not die of exposure on the streets. They literally need a physical mailing address in order to get a job so that they can not starve to death. And you can provide that to them for the low cost of 4 times what it would cost to buy a property, but they're not allowed to buy a property because you've paid the banks to not sell properties to poor people. So instead of being able to buy a property and make very low monthly payments, they can pay you for a much smaller, shittier, less private apartment for more money. And you don't have to do anything. You don't have to take care of it at all. You don't have to talk to them or anything. You just collect money. And if they don't pay you money, you can call the police and have them thrown out and get someone else who will pay you the money. And that's it. That's the only possible outcome. There's no risk to you. None at all. You might say, oh, well, what if it breaks something? Then you have to pay to replace it, right? But here's the thing. They're giving you money every month. So anything they break, you can just fix with the money they're giving you. And the money they give you is way, way more than the cost of fixing things or of administrating things. It's like 6 times more usually. So you don't have to worry about it. And not only do you get to like charge them for a basic necessity and charge them a rate that like is unsustainable and insane just so you can make more money, you also get to lock them into contracts that are extremely predatory and greatly in your favor, like forcing people to notify you of a move out 2 months before they move out, but also making it so that they can't move out until after their entire 12-month lease period is up. Even if they give you that notice, they'll still have to pay you a bunch of extra money if they try to move out early. And you can set up the contract so that if they ever don't follow the contract exactly to the letter the way you like, you can just throw them out with almost no notice. Like literally, my apartment complex requires almost no notice. They put a thing on your door that says, you will be evicted in 3 days if you don't talk to us about this. And then every single time I've gotten one of those notes, I've talked to them about it and they've been like, oh yeah, I guess you weren't doing the thing we thought you were doing. Sorry. Like, well, thanks for terrifying me and making me think I would be homeless again, because I've been there and it fucking sucks. Great job, guys. So if you ever heard someone on the left say something like rent is theft, the reason they're saying that is because it's like a catchy like condensation of the idea that the people who collect rent don't do anything to earn that money. They just extort it out of you because you have to have a place to live or you might die. And these are the only options for places to live because you're poor and therefore aren't allowed to own things, you filthy poor person. And that's kind of the problem with capitalism, is people who have money and have no incentive other than to get more money don't care about human life, because caring about human life doesn't get them more money. What gets them more money is oppressing people and pushing them down and making sure that they pay up over and over and over again forever until you die in the same hole you were born in, you filthy little rat. At least that's how they see us. Capitalism is a system without ethics or room for ethics. It is a system that only cares about one thing to the exclusion of all else. If you want to know how dystopian and horrible it can be to care about only one thing to the exclusion of all else, there's a really popular and like well-known AI thought experiment. And basically it goes like this. What if someone built an AI to like maximize the productivity of their paperclip factory, right? And this AI's goal is just to make sure that the most possible paperclips are made. But they made the AI too smart. And so it learns how to like do things ancillary to its task. Like instead of just improving the efficiency of the factory, it learns how to expand the factory, how to make a new factory, how to purchase this other paperclip factory, how to streamline the resources going to the factory so that more paperclips get made, right? It learns how to automate paperclip production and how to negotiate deals with other companies so that more paperclips can be made. And it learns how to hack systems so that they can get resources to make paperclips. And pretty soon, this AI takes over the world in order to make paperclips. And it endlessly expands and conquers the entire globe until there's no resources left to make paperclips with, so it has to go out into space to keep making paperclips. Now, the AI doesn't understand that by doing this, everyone dies, and there is no more use for the paperclips. The AI doesn't consider how much paper there is to balance out the number of paperclips they are making. The AI only knows about the one goal it was given, maximize production of paperclips. And so that's what it does, to the exclusion of all else, with no regard for morality or legality or anything, because it's just a heartless machine that just wants to make paperclips because that's all you told it to do. And so the entire universe is consumed in the process of making paperclips. The thing is, that's capitalism. But instead of making paperclips, you're making money. Instead of an AI doing it, it's people. People who ostensibly could understand the nuance of the things that their decisions affect, who theoretically could have empathy and compassion for those that they trample, but are conditioned not to because that's not profitable. So yeah, capitalism sucks. And let's be clear, the reason that people do horrible, awful things in capitalism isn't because they are inherently evil people. It's because that's what the system conditions you to do. Because that's what makes money. Making money is the only thing that matters. Human rights don't matter to a capitalist. Capital matters to a capitalist. Under capitalism, there are more cell phones than toilets. Because even though a huge percentage of the population of the world, like 11%, like literally millions of people in the world, don't have access to a safe place to poop that won't like cause sanitary issues, selling cell phones makes the companies more money than trying to provide toilets and sewage to people who don't have that, even though one thing is clearly more important than the other. A third of all the food that makes it to a grocery stores is thrown away every year. And that's just the food that they decide is good enough to go to the grocery store. Lots of food is left to rot in the fields because it doesn't look nice enough to get shipped to a grocery store. Oh, and also just the food that we throw away from grocery stores would be enough to feed the entire fucking world and solve world hunger. Literally, we throw away the food that could be feeding people who are currently starving to death. Why? Because throwing that food away allows you to create artificial scarcity and drive up prices, therefore profit. That's it. It's not because the people who run grocery stores are heartless evil monsters who don't want everyone to be able to eat. It's because that's how they make their money. And they have to make their money because that's what the system is. If you don't make your money, then you aren't participating in the system and you can like starve to death. You know, so gotta participate in the system and make the money. We have an abundance, and we're wasting that abundance while people go without because of profit. Because the system doesn't care about those people, doesn't care about any people. It only cares about seeking profit. And because of that, it will never do anything other than seek profit. It's an inherently broken, self-fulfilling system that cannot meet the world's needs. It never will. Some people will make the argument that so far things have worked out okay. You know, we've gotten this far. The world is burning and we'll all die within like 40 years because of our reckless use of fossil fuels. But like, you know, that's fine. It won't be 40 years. But like, legitimately within like the next 20 years we will run out of time to fix this issue and it will get so bad that we can't fix it and we will all die because of it. And capitalists don't care because caring doesn't make them money. So yeah, the system has worked great. Congratulations. We're all going to die because of the system. Great job. What a winner. So yeah, next week I'll be talking about socialism, the super spicy alternative to capitalism that was made up by a rich old white guy 40 fucking thousand years ago. I mean, not that long ago. It was like 180 years or some shit, but like it's, you know. Yeah, look forward to that. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next life. Laters. Alright, thank you guys for watching that video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that dumb YouTube stuff. Follow me on all my other social media stuff. I got Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, and I have a Patreon, if and only if you have money to burn. And if you do have money to burn, maybe consider donating to an actual charity instead. There are always a few linked in my description, just in case. I mean, I do appreciate it, but there's probably people who can use it more than me. Me and my girlfriend play video games she's never played before on twitch.tv/thegoldenStalfos every Saturday, sometime after 6 p.m. US Mountain Time. And also I sometimes use that channel to do challenge runs and game creation tutorials. So if you're into any of that, please check that out. Also, if you check out our streams and you like the performance that my girlfriend puts on, she streams by herself on her own channel called Awesome Possum Pie. And be sure to leave positive comments down below for my girlfriend who volunteered to edit my videos for free because she's awesome. And yeah, thanks so much for all of your support. And thanks again for watching.